Hey everybody, how are you? Yep, it's the Crypto Sniper coming at you. Yes, a Saturday evening. Interesting times. Got something very special for you today. We seem to have a quiet one. It's going to be quiet. Everybody is out on the lash or sleeping. It is an unusual hour. It is 12 o'clock Panama time, UTC. And we are now live coming to tell you about the absurd move on a Saturday evening, a late US, I would say, time zone Saturday evening, going on for midnight. Let me just drop that there, right there, and share it with you. Hit the likes, confuse the algorithm. Let's go and jump into the charts about what we're talking about and why it's an interesting one. Do we have a live stream? Do we have some comments? I'm hoping that those will come through. Just come and check and let me know if that is indeed showing. For some reason, my YouTube is saying, it's giving me the monkey that says did not compute. So I'm hoping you're chatting. Tell us where you're checking in from. Let's go check what it is showing me here on the live stream YouTube, the Crypto Sniper. We're going to be talking about privacy. What's the big deal about privacy? We're going to be talking about privacy because it has been a theme that has been gaining strength. That's right. It has been the theme that has been gaining strength. And I think there's many a crooked operator in that space. Many a crooked operator in that space right now. And I want to talk to you about exactly that, who I think is crooked. I don't know who's legit in this world, to be honest. Bitcoin is a scam for me as well. All sorts of others are a scam. I'm glad I'm seeing the live feed. I can see where you are. It's in Colorado. We've got Colorado in the house. Here he is, the man. We're going to be talking about Monero. Go and get your Monero chart in front of you. Go and see what has been happening because there's a key breakout event potentially coming. So let's get on with it, and I'll watch the chats where you're checking in from SA, JHB, 6:52 in the morning already. That's awesome. It's still only midnight here on a Saturday night. Yours truly had a sneaky feeling about a particular crypto that he's been watching. It's been on our watch list. It is our main watch list. We had alerts set all around it. That crypto is Monero, XMR. Let's go straight to the charts and get on with it. So here we go. Now, you will see there's a little bit of an interesting pop, but you see these kind of green candles on the daily time frame every now and then. Very peculiar that this is happening Saturday, weekend, of an evening. We've had repo market dramas. Yep, it's getting a real sketchy out there. The Fed's been pumping liquidity in the repo market. The Cayman Islands needs more liquidity. You won't hear that from all your dollar maximalists and China down talkers. No, sir. But anyway, let's keep it crypto and let's have a look at. There is a lot of drama. There's a lot of potential problems going on out there. This is the key winner macro chart that inside our community and inside the live trading day that you missed on Friday, we reiterated that this one is our core three top bananas in terms of crypto holdings. And it is a secrecy coin. It is yours truly, Monero. Let us show you the $1 million, $6 million chart. And it goes like this. So here we go. We're going to take it off Kraken. We're going to divide it by XAUUSD. And I'm going to show you that even in gold ounces, your new money standard on the basis that, friends, your actual fiat is no longer a useful basis of account. Listen to what I just said there. It's no longer a useful basis of account. Fiat currencies, they are actually in a degree of collapse and contagion. I'm going to make that alive and I'm going to make that quiet. And I'm going to show you a couple of interesting things. So here we go. This is now a draw of Monero on a 2-weeker. It's kind of a fortnightly one. And it captures most of its history. In fact, you'll see there's a little bit, let's bring it in terms of Kraken, I think it's a 2014 token that it kind of came about. Is it 2014-ish? Kraken is the one with the largest history. This is our primary interest in terms of trade setups. And it is far cleaner when you look in gold ounces and you remove the failing dollar from you being your basis of account. So many people in crypto do not realize, I'm seeing your comments as you're chatting in here. Let's have a look here. What's that in dollars? Well, we'll show you the dollar chart in a minute, because if you're buying in dollars. But I'm here to tell you that this is outperforming gold, and you're talking to a mega gold bull. It's going to outperform silver and quite probably platinum too. And you're talking to a precious metals bull who believes in having some physical money, not just the digital variety. Here we go. If you want to buy some bullion, make sure you utilize the links below. Bullion gold for internet gold as well. I suggest everybody have some so that your money is across the digital varieties as well as the physical varieties. Fiat is in a bonfire, friends. It's a dumpster. It's an absolute bonfire. Thank you for the $2. ICP, what do you think? We'll have a look at that later. I want to just do the presentation. Morning from Namibia. Was there not so long ago, swimming on Agate Beach in Namibia. Absolutely barren and empty, shamelessly butt naked, along with the good old missus. Got the Range Rover stuck in the sand there. Namibia, it was... Wait for it, Luderitz. That's where we were, Luderitz. We were meant to be going up to Swakopmund, and the biggest rains that ever came down. The roads turned to rivers. It was an amazing holiday. Namibia is beautiful. Anyway, back to this chart. This is textbook huge, guys. We are in a log scale. We have to look in log scale because cryptos have huge pumps and also violent dumps, and that needs bearing in mind. The volatility is high, but this looks amazing. This looks amazing, and we are watching this turn up against gold ounces, real money. Don't forget. And this has a beautiful first and second. Now, I want to tell you that actually, because of the weakness of dollar, when we show you the dollar, which we will show you, this is actually higher than that, and it kind of spoils the pattern. But that's all about dollar weakness. During that period, the gold was already stirring. You can see where it was. This was July in 2021. Gold had gone up quite significantly into the late 2020. And you then had this long, slow, super slow, nice little bit of funneling, getting squeezy, final little shakeout, and then you've done a bump, little bump, and then you had a decent one. Now, the amazing thing is this fortnightly chart on Monero looks just like our USD Korean 1 chart. I wonder if the Koreans are going to be buying Monero as their currency collapses, their stock market collapses, and they become afraid of a forthgoing. Well, it's ironic. It's similar. I'll be doing a USD Korean 1, very similar structure when it comes. But this impulsive move off these lows are very good. We're on half a month here. So that's a strong candle, and we're getting to the point of a triggering event. And when you come with that pace, you usually break. That's right. That's what happens. You usually break. You come from the low end of the funnel with real momentum. You usually break. Let's just bring this up for you. We've been discussing Monero many YouTubes about this potential structure. You'll see it if you go to the Crypto Sniper channel. You'll go any of these and you can go and do a Monero search. Let's find one over here. Oh, I want to watch all these YouTubes. That's why they're still there. I've got all the stuff of content to consume. We've got to put it in there. Let's go and do it and just prove to you that you've been in the space for a lengthy time. And we've also been waiting for the alt run fairly patiently. We're a little early on the first call, but we've come back a couple of times to it. Monero, you will see that it has been covered a few times in our tags. And we're talking about it now. More to come, Monero. How far does it go? Monero. So quite a lot of Monero coverage. And recently, if you're following us on X, you'll notice that there's quite a bit of coverage. And we're noticing the privacy. By the way, we need to do a little bit of a deep dive on the privacy front. Thank you for your super chats. And I will be coming back to all of them to ensure you don't get shortchanged. Thank you to Canadian EHL and also to Gman78. I will look at your ICP. The question there, do you think we'll have a melt up before a crypto bust early next year? I think we'll maybe 140 to 200k BTC before it tanks. I'll come back to your thoughts on BTC as well. That's also interesting. We've got 102 of you on at the moment. Hit the like button, fool the algorithm. How many people are showing up on Saturday nights at the middle of the night to talk to you? Not much after. Well, our community is updated all the time, and they had this put in front of them again on live trading day that the moment is coming. And I've been on that spidery feelings type vibe and watching, and here we are sitting quietly after a nice sporting weekend. We have the upside. So as you can see, this is particularly good. And by the way, in gold ounces, this is not going to mean anything to you because gold will actually be going up against $2. In gold ounces, the Monero will likely do gold ounces from where it is now. By the way, you could have been in this a whole bunch sooner. We have been drip feeding it in after Friday again, after getting a little bit square neutral while we waited to see if Bitcoin was going to fall any further. We'll come back to Bitcoin thanks to the super chats. The liquidity might be coming back. Things getting a little bit nervous. Liquidity might be coming back. So what's happening? If that happens, crypto can run. Alts will outperform. Again, we will reassert our BTC dominance has turned. No matter what anybody else says, I don't see it going back up to the 66%. Every pump that it's had has fizzled right the hell back. So outperformance alts is still our core. We'll show you that in a minute, but let's stay on the Monero theme. This is why you're here. So 1,713% in gold ounces, however long that takes. Remember, it's not unrealistic. You're now hearing JP Morgan and other people say 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 gold. So you're going to do 18 times what gold does. Let me just say that again. Hold on a minute. 18 times what gold does, 18 times what gold does in the process of getting to your target. That's pretty phenomenal if this turns out correct. So in a relative form, bear in mind I've multiplied this chart by 1,000. So we've divided by gold, multiplied by 1,000, just not to have tiny little satoshis and negatives. So don't look at the numbers specifically, it's the growth percentage. 18x of what gold. Remember, crypto has these moments where it runs really hard, and this looks like one indeed could be coming. So you might want to see, you may want to see the one in dollars because that's an easier draw, and you'll see immediately why it's not as perfect as we like. However, the part of that is due to it being bent upwards because of the weakening dollar. The weakening dollar is part of that story. We will go and put this back here for you, and we will show you that actually this isn't yet a trigger on gold, but it is a trigger on the weakening dollar. I'm going to make it monthly so that I only have to eliminate one candle. This is a slightly bigger time frame now. I've compressed it to a full month. Now, if you'll allow me, I have to adjust my tool because we have this imperfection here. That high is 51760. I need to eliminate that because it's slightly bit imperfect. 517.6, he says, and he does such. So there we go. Now you're starting to get draws, and that's the one we want. I'm also going to hide all the other lines so that you can see it. Now what is actually happening is your point of control, that's the volume, is sitting a bit lower because there's been a consistent bleed up in this thing because the dollar has been weakening. You're coming off one of the weakest years in the dollar. The dollar had a high of 110 at one point, started the year at 108, and is barely holding 100 and is traded 97 on the Dixie. And you are choosing to measure your wealth. Listen to me, best people. I want to see your live chats, comments here. You are choosing to base your wealth in a monkey on a grease pole that's doing that makes everything you think is doing well do this, even when it's just doing okay. Like the people that are calling melt-ups on the stock market. It actually isn't doing near as well as you think in gold ounces. in gold ounces. But Monero is going to outperform in gold ounces. And we've just shown you that chart, and now we're showing you it in USDT. And in the short afternoon that I've been watching this, I've actually seen it move from roughly 340 to literally $100. Can you believe that? This thing has almost made $100 at its high since I've been watching it. It's absolutely amazing. And I was drip feeding in and moving some funds around from one exchange to the other. Monero is not available on every exchange. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, you have to shuffle around. Some of the ones that do are KuCoin, Bitfinex, there's others. And of course, you can get a wallet, a private wallet, probably a safer, better idea, and swap over there, providing you have enough gas if it's Ethereum one and all the usual shenanigans. So there's been a real move up this Saturday, and that's actually given a trigger here. It's given a triggering event for us at this as a localized spot high. Now, previously, you were at a low of 165 and you ran right up to 415. So Monero can run, and this move is far, far bigger, friends. I'm looking at it on the weekly. I'm going to take you back to the 2 weekly, and this move can be, in fact, I'm going to go right up to the monthly. So we're going from a shorter time frame. So some of you will be asking, how far do we go? How far do we go? What's your target? Scary old numbers, friends. Scary old numbers. And actually, the target I'll be utilizing is the gold one. As we get to whatever that gold valuation multiple is, I'll close 50%. I'm going to allow for overperformance for this to absolutely run like a monster, like a beast. That's right. I'm going to allow for overperformance. Checking your comments. Thank you for the 3 fires. Liked and shared. Done and dusted. Venezuela again in the house. Glad to have the Venezuelans. Keep resisting. Thank you. Are you the only one? I don't know. Others will answer. Monero, everything BTC was $20. My goodness, so generous from Eduardo. Let me get this right. Irazabal. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you for helping us navigate the markets. What would be a good entry on XMR? Okay, so I'll answer that. You have just triggered, because this is the topic as to why I am here. You have just triggered on here. And there's a couple of things that happen that you will learn as a community member of ours. By clicking the link below, you can book a call. There's no obligation. There's 14 days money back. We don't take any prisoners from anyone. Certainly, you're going to want to be there. Here's the idea. 5 stages occur in a breakout, and you'll learn more detail of this, but I'll run through them super quickly. You get the feign and break. We've just tripped the wire. It can pull back a little bit and come back into the funnel. So if you whale in with all your size now at the very top after it's done the better part of $80 in just an afternoon in the middle of the weekend for us here on the Western time frame, I'm on the Panama time frame, that kind of, you know, sort of, I think it's, I don't know what part of the US is that. It's probably a bit late for New York. We're even later than New York, but we're earlier than California. And we've got our Venezuelans in the house, so, you know, right about there. You could get a pullback of $40 potentially. And typically you go through the 5 phases of a breakout. It doesn't mean exclusively you do. Sometimes you can rip and just keep ripping. So part of me in these situations doesn't want to be caught out not having. So I put part of my position on even now. Luckily for us and in the community watching this, we were buying earlier, and eventually I decided to stream and got my act together, and now we are streaming. It's quite a bit later, and it's moved while I was getting ready quite a fair bit. So if you have a certain size you want to allocate, you could, non-advisory, put 1/3 of it in now and put limit buy orders on a little bit of a comeback, because it's done a fair bit. Typically, you run the green line, that's the localized high. You've run that localized high, by the way, that was some time ago, let's tell you. The localized high, which was a good old run-up, was, well, it's monthly, so it was May month. Now, May month is getting to be a little further away than we care to remember. There's not that many shoplifting days left to Christmas. You've only got yourself maybe 55 days. to steal something nice for the wife. And I'm saying to you, this was May, that was 5, you're kind of 11 and a half, going not too far off for 12. We're still the early part of November, we're the 9 going 10, but you know, by the time it's Monday, it's 11. So there's a fair amount. It's a fairly important technical break on the dollar. It's not yet a trigger on gold yet, and that is the purer pattern that I will be trading, and when I will close 50% of my position. But it will outperform. And can I say good news? Because it's been a crappy crypto market so far for many. Can I give you the good news? This is going to be bigger than you've seen since 2018 high. It's going to dwarf all this part of crypto history. And it will be the same for the other tokens that we are watching that have similar structure, like XRP and XLM. And we have another that we really love that we think outperforms all of these, but XMR is one of my favorites. It's probably top 2. And you can find out what are in those portfolios and what it is we're doing and how and when it's triggering and why we're analyzing it. And more importantly, how you can maximize that and turbo stack and play the HVF method game that allows you to build wealth. Why do we need to build wealth? Because they're coming for us. They want you to be poor. They want to protect your wealth. That's also another important thing. And further, to secure real options in this world where the West is going to collapse and there's going to be pretty dastardly environment. So XMR could do very much like this. After it's done the Spain and then break back in, we expect it to run the first interim. You may see that 593 number. So then we expect it to run that. Once it runs that, it can have a pullback again. If you're unlucky, it can come all the way back to the green line. That's 426, even though you know, it's just triggered now. It could do that. In some instances, it's even come into the funnel, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just winds up. I can't give you all the detail, but once it leaves here at 593, it runs like a beast till $1,468, and it will surpass that. It's not going to stop on the line before it next rests again. $1,468, that's almost $1,500. And then after a period of maybe pulling back, churning, double top, little bit of a pullback, mini head and shoulders on small time frames, eventually it reasserts not too long and runs 5,857. You're talking quite likely of a 6,000, maybe even a 7,000 run. That is going to be absolutely awesome. This is a big time frame seller. You need to be comfortable with being net long this for a sustained period. However, breakouts are quick and sometimes brutal and very fast. That's what's happening. It could be brutal and very fast. So Eduardo, thank you again for your super chat. And it could be brutal and very fast. A good entry would be where you are now at about 30% of your planned size. A limit order, maybe $25. I'm going to take you down a time frame to give you an even further detailed chart, a response to how, in a pullback, how much more could it come back. You are getting a little bit of fizzling. There has been a bit of leverage utilized that has whaled in here at this moment. But this has squeezed very nicely. This is your channel along here, and you have popped out, and you have popped out, and you have also taken out to the left of you. So let's go a tiny bit higher. You have run this technical high, and so there is a possibility of the pullback to these levels. So 420s and down to maybe 415s for your other third, and then keep a little bit of ammo that you still plan to get in case it has a lengthy pullback and rounded bottom. Maybe it dips lower and comes back to 399 and you can load up. This triggering event, however, don't get me wrong, the only thing you want to do is be long this, no matter if you face a week of pullback. The only thing on balance of probabilities, in my view, with HVF method, you wish to be long. You wish to be long. You wish to be long, my friends, and you will be richly rewarded. You are looking at a token that could end up through $6,000. You heard me say it, a token that will be 6,000. Now that might be 9 months in coming. That might be 1 month in coming. It might be a year and a half. People got very frustrated with our XRP call when we said it does 19.3 and it will also be running. And the problem is you're going to want to be in all of them. And if you haven't already allocated your capital for Monero, you're going to get out of Monero and chase when XRP pumps. And you're going to chase in at highs on XRP and then ride the pullbacks. And then Monero will be running again. You'll run back into Monero at a high. You've got to split your capital. You've got to go, this is what I'm dedicating to this trade. This is what I'm dedicating to that one. The alt run will dominate. It will dominate Bitcoin. I am sorry, Bitcoin friends. There's so many people that get real angry, the Bitcoin maxis. This Bitcoin dominance, and let's go up to the weekly time frame. The high is in for us, and we were early on the first call, but we were a lot more awake than everyone else. We said Bitcoin dominance is going to run. Bitcoin is the one to have. It's going to dominate, and we suggested in previous videos when we covered this topic that you would need to get, let's redraw that, back up to in and around these levels before that happened, before you would start to make a high. So when we were in these bottom lows, which were in the 39-40%, and Bitcoin was near its top, and it started to fall, the Bitcoin dominance climbed. The Bitcoin dominance climbed, and we were Bitcoin dominant long all the way. We got suckered here. The first major, we said, could this be the turn? You had traded around 62%. 62%, we felt it would be somewhere in the middle that you would turn, and it went down, and it looked like it might be, we said, maybe the turn is in, maybe the alt run is coming. That was right about November, December 2024. In the end, that continued up, and it made 65 instead of 62. We've now decided again, and this time we're sticking to it, that is indeed the sell-off. This sell-off came very close to the previous sell-off, and every effort to go up now is fizzling. It's fizzling. What that means is it can't be held. You had a 19 billion liquidation, friends. And super chatters, I'm hoping I've answered Eduardo's question. I'll be getting back to the others, by the way, and I want to thank you for them, which includes Canadian, which means I'll look at Bitcoin, and G-Man, which includes looking at ICP. I will do both of those to respect you, and I thank you. We must always be respectful to people that are supporting us, and that is very much part of our brand. So stay patient, but I've got a couple of things I want to run through with everybody. So overall, this is going to be an alt season if that liquidity is coming. At the moment, it's privacy. Privacy is the thing. It's not surprising that Richard Hart is going to launch a privacy type token on a sacrifice basis again. So he's getting in on the meme. I don't know what I feel about. I prefer him to work on the tokens that are a little bit languishing in value and do what he can there rather than diluting the ecosystem, maybe. But who knows? Maybe it's good. I don't know. I haven't got in touch with my feelings on that one. But I can tell you on these others, there is some very interesting captured forces in here. So you might have noticed that Zcash had a run. Zcash. Let's talk about ZEC. Zcash. So I've been watching this whole privacy story for a while now. Maybe we should do Zcash not with a T and see what we get here. Now, I'm still not sure. This, by the way, just in case you didn't realize, HVFs are absolutely awesome and they capture insiders. This, by the way, was a classic case of first upside HVF in a new trend. So let's go 3 days. Let's do this one on a 3-dayer, shall we? 3 days and pull it through. You might notice that we have a very similar structure on here, and we've drawn it. We discussed this in the community. I'm not a trader of it. I don't trust or like the look of them. But insiders accumulating, getting ready to pump and push things. There's your first upside HVF in a new trend, drawn on a draw tool with big overperformance, First in the new trends do overperform. You only close 50% just to secure your stability emotionally, and then you switch to overperformance management on the rest. So you would have half your original leverage position, which allows you to buy a lot more heading on up. And you would be sitting here at 551 from an entry point. By the way, risk reward was 13.59. Ask yourself, when last did you land? A 13.6 RRR. Risk 5 grand, make 13.6 times 5, or risk 10 grand, make 136,000. It's quite spectacular RRRs, not to include the half you've left on that actually probably made more than double that. HVF method is your forensic detective that finds the future pumpers. That is why you accelerated stack and are typically better invested when you click the link below and are in the core areas that are going to overperform in the future. So rank sniper here, very well off as a result. Absolutely best place to be. How should everyone be positioned and on what time frames? Yeah, so blue pot, my take is Monero was it for holding. You should be in it, but it's also a leverage trade now. And that means you trade off its collateral to a degree with moderate, not too stupid leverage, and you're prepared to hold it long term. It can't be too emotional for you. So we're showing you Zcash, but is Zcash that trustworthy? That's not Michael Burry we want to talk to. Here we go. Now that's actually put the hat on his head. He didn't look like that, but he is a rather interesting looker generally. Let's have a little look at ZEC's dev that started talking. Now this is very much, to me, a sign of Marxism when you have someone who's deeply trans. Now people will say, that's transphobic, how dare you? It's very peculiar to me that, you're not entitled to think, how does someone present? If I thought I was a dog and dressed in a clown suit and kept barking and peeing on my table leg like that, I wouldn't hold it against you if you took me a whole bunch less seriously. And these people that are putting forward that they're born biological males and come across and dress like this, there's a peculiarity, and it also involves a certain kind of person. And that group of people are not very pro your freedom. They're actually pro being the ruling class over you with you as a slave, and when they tell you privacy, you should suspect controlled opposition. And this very peculiar man, and I'm sorry, it looks absolutely odd, and if that makes me a transphobe for just calling something that looks odd, growing long hair on the side and balding on the top of your head and wearing a dress and squeezing your pectoral muscles like that, it's absolutely freaking bizarre. Let me go back to sharing the screen. Stephen Young, thank you, Stephen, for your £20. That's very generous. I've been predicting for a year now on the financial system will start to come down this month. We're embarking on a Caribbean cruise today for 2 weeks. To that end, will the world be a different place when we get off? I think things are accelerating generally. 2 weeks, quite a bit can happen when we are in the accelerating phase as we are, but I'm not expecting that, the world will be flattened physically at that point. Let's just go over what this person says as we've been talking about the privacy space. I think you'll enjoy your holiday, relax and enjoy it, Stephen, and thank you for your ongoing support. I recognize your avatar and always very cordial and decent in the comments. We appreciate that in this other crypto space. We don't have to be bitchy little fools, even when we're wrong, and we will be wrong. ZEC is an IDF-backed, Epstein-related, transgender-led Ponzi scheme. That's quite a mouthful. But does he back it? I mean, maybe he's just bad-mouthing. Well, it appears on the transgender thing he's not, because I've seen this image minus the hat, a couple of times. Zuko Wilcox takes the PR photos, but the 2017 Times of Israel told the real story. Tel Aviv University researchers authored the core protocols. 3 core ZEC team members are Israeli. Eli Ben Sassoon. Now, Sassoon was also the Jewish family operating out of India that enforced the opium sales to the Chinese that destroyed the population there. And when the Chinese government wanted to stop that, ended up having Britain, which was controlled via the royal family, which was controlled via those same families, wage war in China and forced them to accept sales of drugs because there was a trade deficit. We wanted all their beautiful silk and Ming vases and amazing stuff, and they didn't want to buy any of our stuff, so we force sold them drugs. It's kind of pretty sick, but you would say we? Well, not really us. The parasitic force that dominates and controls an tertiary extractor runs the royal family and the people that think they're the ruling classes did. So it's an interesting surname, Sassoon. Ariel Gabrizon, both from Technion Israeli Institute plus Iran Troma, Tel Aviv University, have labeled it as the Israel honeypot since 2016. Another core team member is Daria Emma Hopwood. Now that's the female name for this guy that you're seeing a lot, who personally audited the ZK Smarts, that power shielded pools. Quite possibly a very talented programmer, but a little bit on the biology side for me, a little bit too much so. And of course, we know who Hitler burned the books of. The books he was burning were actually the books surrounding transgender chopping and operating and all sorts of inversion perversions that were going on in Berlin and the Weimar Republic before he came in, which was seeing children being sexually abused, etc., etc. So there's a tendency towards the perverse. Their founders reward the vested interest straight into the electric coin company, Zcash company, which cashes out on every pump. Here's the biggest fact that nobody seems to know. Epstein directly funded the lab that the Zcash co-founder worked at. It makes too much sense. You've got Epstein funding, you've got so much IDF. Of course, there's the TOP3 ALT program that highlights this. So, you know me, I know who wants to be our ruler, who is always murdering, genociding, and doing violent things, runs blackmail operations, has operatives like Epstein. I know who they are, so this one's a no-no for me. Now, you might trade it and make some money. Good on you if you do. Know that you are dancing with the devil. That's all I will say on that. So, does that mean Monero isn't? Well, we don't know. We can't say that. There's just less clear and obvious. So, that's my take on ZEC. We know the privacy has been interesting. Dash also got a little bit lively. Let's go and see. It wasn't an obvious HVF last time I remember looking at it, but you can see here out of the blue it just pumped and surged. I like best when charts are quite clearly being talked and accumulated. Some might say that there was something that happened there real early and that led to that, which is also run. Privacy is a thing. Why now? Why now indeed, you should be asking. Because maybe it's getting to that end game period. It's maybe getting to that end game period where guilty parties that have been stripping all the assets off the wall want to suddenly value being an anon. And who would be those? Insiders. ZEC, I wonder who's using that. Probably sold to the, the Pelosi's of this world, who retired recently to great hugs from Obama. I don't know, how blessed should you feel about the front-running crooked society that have been controlling and dominating us? Maybe not so much. Anyway, Monero I will trade and I will play with, but I'm not saying to you that the same forces aren't in there. I've just had no clear evidence thereof. And I think it's going to be one of the bigger winners in this grand game. So lots of comments. Love it, badass, says someone. I think US equities will break down. They could break down, and they could, but if they pump the liquidity, then the alts could indeed run. That would be pretty supportive for equities. I'm not sure we could have an equity mad crash and at the same time have an alts mad run. Not impossible. Maybe we need to think of things that are unlikely but potentially possible, but I wouldn't necessarily say so. So yeah, hopefully, Stephen, I've answered you sufficiently. Enjoy your cruise, enjoy life, don't live in fear. Yeah, you just load up on some of those better trades. We had some other questions around Bitcoin. So let's have a little look at Bitcoin. We showed you the Bitcoin dominance. So it was Canadian. Mentioned, is it going to go to 140 to 200 Bitcoin? So there's a couple of things that may be happening on Bitcoin, but as I've suggested already, it's not going to be the best mover. This is not the time that I feel it's going to be the best mover. There is a third sell-off, I think, potentially possible on Bitcoin, which is why you might get a little dip high on the Monero. But if privacy is really running, you know, but Dash went anyway. Zcash went anyway, even with Bitcoin being weak. That feels like a sell. There was a broadening structure there. It was a continuation. That feels like a sell. Of course, we're at the 100 grand. Of course, you just run the 100 key levels of significance, just run like you did here on this hammer. The difference is here, there was continuation, and the continuation was upside. Do you now have a left shoulder? Do you have a big double head, and are you going to get a bit of bid rally? You can see these lower wicks over here. You can see these lower wicks over here, and now you're getting bid up off that neckline to the upside. So let's see. It will be an interesting one to see, because if you get a weak rally, you could even set up something that could be a downside leg, and then you could end up having nestled head and shoulders if that occurred, even bigger. If you sold off until there and rallied, you could get another right shoulder. So we watch for that, but at the same time, I don't want to be too bearish, because if there's liquidity coming, we still have an outside target for Bitcoin on a bigger time frame that'll take it to 150. It's not an HBF. It is an inverted head and shoulder, and it was one like this. Let's drop it to the daily and show you that one, remind everybody of that. In fact, where are we? It's a bigger one. We go to the weekly we need. It's this. It's quite a big structured pattern, so I don't write it off in a hurry. A little bit small on the shoulders. Wee shoulders over there, and smaller over here, big head all the way into the low. That has a target, and it has 148 and 149 as a target. So that's up top there. So 150 could still be on as a result of that. And if the liquidity comes on, you don't want Bitcoin dying, but eventually you'll get some of these tokens that are railways of the future outperforming to an extreme degree. And privacy, people have forgotten about privacy. You know, everyone said, forget privacy. You know, you've had all the Lowell Finkelstein and Raoul Powell saying institutions got to get involved. You're not going to get privacy. Let me tell you, end of a criminal dying system, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to want to hide their tracks, and they're going to go for privacy. So it's eventually going to come back in favor. After originally being discussed by everybody who was focused on liberty in the early days. We always were mentioning privacy. I'm always shocked by how little it gets mentioned as a theme. We're going to do memes and do dogcoin and NFTs, you know, where you sell PDFs, but nobody's like, how do we protect ourselves from an overarching surveillance finance grid governmental system? It's like, you know, how about tap dancing past the elephant in the room to, you know, talk smack about other garbage and non-topics. Anyway, back to Bitcoin in the short term to answer the question from the super chat. So weekly, there's still a possibility, and I think Bitcoin probably does okay. The only thing is, if you had a major run on master, you could flush out a forced seller there. And their NAV has been closed immensely. And I was trying to remember who was the guy who shorted master and long Bitcoin. That's a clever trade, actually, and I commend him for that. Just like our long gold, short oil. That's clever because it's commodity neutral. That was clever because, in essence, it was Bitcoin neutral, and MicroStrategy had got too overvalued for how much Bitcoin it actually was having. People could buy Bitcoin direct in an ETF. There's no reason to pay 2 and a bit times for a share that largely stopped operating as a company and just a treasury house for Bitcoin, and you get half the amount, even less than half the amount of Bitcoin. That premium is closed, and it could close further, but he's closed that trade. So we are in. Crap runs are promoted, says someone. The way to secure your capital isn't. I was looking yesterday at inverted HVF on Visa at the moment, not triggered yet. Likely that's because of potential head and shoulder multiple charts. Just interesting charts. Yeah, so HVF method is really useful gifts to somebody. So that's one major sell-off. Typically they come in threes. We're kind of waiting as well for that to finalize on gold, what's happening. And you've got the support here at the 100. So you can do continuation pattern. It can be a rising wedge. It can be a flag. It can do a ledge. It could be any of a number of things. But the next level is 93. The next level, key level of significance is 93. And I still think there's a possibility that can happen. But you might get a continuation. And quite clearly, Monero has shown the ability to go up in spite of that. So if we just put in all our levels, you can see the 100 and the next level, 93. And then 88, if you went lower. But I think, you know, one more sell-off would be pretty good. And then you've let all the sellers out, all the weekends have gone. I'm not a big fan of Bitcoin for what's left of this season. It was the right token to have in the beginning. And we asserted that continually until we got caught by the first fake out, which was earlier this year, on the alt run, when it really came down hard, but then it went one more higher. So we were a bit early to start calling for alts, and it's been a stop-start environment. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. I think possibly one more sell-off. The other thing that some might draw, technicians might draw that and falling wedge. And again, in falling wedge theory, which you'll learn with us, that you won't learn anywhere else, it's typical to have three impulses. You might double bottom on the 100 and not come all the way to the lower descending line. You could double bottom there, you could come all the way down and come up here. There has been support a few times here at the 100. You could technically run it, and then a falling wedge, typically in most instances, breaks to the upside, and this would just be a weak final leg of selling, or maybe it just sells for the double bottom, and then you come up for a double bottom. So I'm drawing a Picasso here for you, an absolute beauty, he says, humbly, that you bounce on the 100 and you get a double bottom and you start coming back up. And then in due course, you can trundle along quite reasonably to 150. In that time, we could be having far better, bigger runs. You could be having far better, bigger runs in the alts. That would be super, super beneficial. Thanks again to Eduardo for the super chat. Thank you to Canadian for the super chat. We've got to handle ICP still for G-Man, which we will do out of respect to him. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's go over there. There are others, by the way, that are doing well, but they're not shifting. So who else is in? We've spoken of XRP a lot, and we've shown you the gold ounce trick. Use it. You're welcome. We're trying to help you and give you more tools. Use it. It will take out the dollar as being part of the story, and it is very, very useful. But it is a tough taskmaster. It's not some pithy taskmaster. It's a tough taskmaster. But if your crypto is holding up there and is setting up HVFs on that, well then you're in a good, strong place. We don't want Tickmill, we want Bitstamp. Bitstamp to the rescue, big history, here we go. So when some people might ask, is XRP reigniting? We caught this and it did very well for us because we've been waiting for it for a long time. We had a grind up, you had a third impulse with a little grind down like that. The others were far more obvious. These were quite subtle. And then you had a bit of a base floor there and you got a detonation. And it was a clear detonation because you went higher than this. You were up top there. We called the localized high almost to 4 cents. We said 3.36 is a great place to get out. You can buy it at the moment at around $2.50. I think we'll get the dollar price in a minute. We're of course in the gold price and we multiply by 1,000 just not to have Satoshis, just because we do that with all of them. So let's put it on. So you're only dividing by the number of gold, the first number, because we're putting up back the other 1,000. So there you go. So this is still coming off. Yes, you tested low, but you got bought back up. So you can see that this will, because it's already triggered, it triggered there, and it will go again, broadening structure like that. This is continuation, you will go again, but you are along the bottom. You are along the bottom and you're coming back to our level. We can draw the HVF for you so that you can see it with the draw tool. Also, our community members get these once they've done their theory. There you can see, it's typical. You run the first interim. Some people are, didn't you say $50? I said $19.35, and I'll show you it in dollars in a minute. This is typical. You run the first interim. Bear this in mind with Monero. It will go quiet. It can do the same potentially. I think all these things are going to reassert together though. So when this reasserts, Monero will probably be running its first interim, which is quite some way away, and its second, which I pointed out, is already at almost $1,500 when we were on the dollar chart. So you made that, see that, you made that target and you're in a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a pullback. People think they all want gratitude immediately. There was your triggering event, but we were actually getting long on the dollar version of this at the 60 cents. It's a heck of a run from 60 cents to 336, but we don't have the long-term patience to tie up assets for all this period while it's done all this pullback. That's why we said localized high will be getting out. First interim done. When this is over, and it's finished basing here and starts to go again, you will have the next interim. This is, remember, in those gold ounces. These numbers won't mean anything to you. I will be using this to tell me when to sell. I will have the gold price going up to let me know. And you will probably be at 10.65 when divided by the first number of whatever the gold price is. So that will be a very useful. And we'll put our notifications in there so that we know when to sell our dollar-based assets, because the dollar will be losing against gold as well. You are in a fiat debasement era and times, friends. And just so that's clear, you can see how spiky these things are. Let me just take the log scale off and show you. For those that don't think we make ballsy calls. In gold ounces, you've got to go from roughly half. When we called this, by the way, it was 0.2. 0.2 of a gold ounce divided by, well, we've taken the 1,000 back. It should have been 0.0002. But we kind of, we don't want to talk in too many decimal places. And we're telling you that it'll run 2.31. So 5 to get to 1, 2.31 before resting again. So that's about 5 times 2 1/3. That's about 14 times higher just to get to second interim. And that your eventual will be up here at 10.6. Now again, we've multiplied by 1,000 to not have too many zeros. But that is an unbelievable move. And if you want to have that measured for you, just so it's clear, I don't know many people that are making the ballsy calls of another 1,800%. 1,800%, another 19 times from where it is. 19 times from where it is in gold ounces. That's a lot of gold overperformance. Overperformance to gold. Wow, yeah. So let's take the XRP back to just the dollar, because many of you want to know number, even if it's greased monkey that's slipping into a pit. You still want to know Grease monkey number. Throw the monkey money back at them and buy what will be going up, friends. That is how you build wealth in a shell game, which we are existing in, a shell game. Thank you for hitting the like and confusing the algorithm. We got a steady 168 of you online today. It's not my biggest live stream, I won't lie to you. But anyway, I'm sure you're all loyal devotees. It's time we serve this part of the continent. So there's the 60 cents and there's the 19.35. There's the 19.35. But I suspect this will overperform immensely because you have, ironically, also a massive bull flag. Let's go back with a pink. We must use the transgender pink. It's a transgender day. Wouldn't you like it if I had my little bald head, my hair around my sides, and a little girl's blouse? Would you feel more comfortable chatting with me? I'm not so. Not so. I would go mental issues, maybe, but that's transphobic. You're not agreeing with the Marxists. Don't not agree with the Marxists. How dare you? So there is actually a big bull pole here, which is why you might indeed get that overperformance to the 1935, which is why we continue to say it's 1935 for XRP. We haven't walked away from it. But what you can see is when you're looking at the dollar instead of the gold, that this structure takes a little bit of a different look to it. So it's more of a ledge, whilst against the gold, it was more like something like that, and came all the way back to the funnel and is supporting on the funnel. So it's quite close to its point of support on gold and is supporting there. And we found this with XRP2 against the dollar. It seems to have a soft floor at around $2, and just wick closes when you're looking at months that are dips but not closing above the 2. So yes, it will run below 2. It's not closing below the 2. So you have slightly technically different charts that are occurring. And despite this looking a short hop to there and a short hop to there, again, take the log scale out. These are huge calls. These are huge calls. These are huge calls. $4.55 from on XRP and 19. That's a long way away. It's done very little of its journey in getting to 19.35. But when the money comes out of that bond market and everything else and all the other Ponzi's they've skipped, it will come hard. That's a huge HVF. XMR and XRP are huge HVFs, and XRMR is the one currently moving first now. But XRP had already triggered on its court case kind of half ruling that occurred around about, what date was it now? May, I thought, November 24. So we're waiting. It's been a boring old wait since November. Yes, it went a little bit higher. It was still going up in January of this year. But since January of this year, you've got a minor localized high, but the top was pretty much there at 3.4. You traded 3.6 for a second, and then you've been largely down. This is churn. And in actual fact, on gold, it's right the way back down to the green line for a return move, which is more compliant to HVF, which is why my compass is actually better using real money, not monkey money. Yeah? Everyone getting it? Not monkey. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, he's doing great and is a solid community member. Very active and always doing good draws and has some great ideas. So it's great to see Jason, a community member, in there chatting to some of the guys. Thanks, Jason. What are you doing up at this hour? I thought you were on the UK time frame, by the way. But anyway, you're welcome anyway, especially when you're doing God's work in the comments. Okay, so the similar goes for XLM. I've got to do ICP for our super chat. So we'll do that. I'll just run past the cousin of XLM. And this draw is slightly different. We'd probably go with it here. Now, again, this is in dollar. We're still in dollar, but I would draw it in gold ounces multiplied by 1,000. Use that trick. It's for free. I'm sharing it with you. We always do innovative and generally smart things. In fiat and debt debasement times, there's no point having a moving target as your basis of account. Gold is not so much going up as all fiat and paper assets are being rebased down. That is the sad, sad facts of the game. So, whoops, what happened there? We lost a couple of things. They again had decided to change it to Tickmill. No, thank you. Coinbase will do. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So you can see with the gold ounces that actually this is still resetting downwards, and that is slightly lower. So you haven't triggered yet on XLM. You've had a strong, a very sturdy upside. This is not a third impulse for us on XLM because it was too weak in between. So XLM pumps hard but drifts back a heck of a long way. So don't always chase the highest percentage mover. When it runs, it will probably deliver one of the highest percentages, but you've got to have it right, you've got to get out, and in between it dies. It helps to actually have one that has a little bit of a spine in between. And so I would take XRP, but the absolute outperformer will probably be XLM, but you'll put up with a lot of BS in between. And we're waiting for that one to turn. So what I'm saying to you is 3 or 4 very popular tokens. We've mentioned them that would be in our model portfolio as must-haves. XLM and XRP very similar, so that's kind of the two. I would take XRP just for practical reasons, liquidity reasons. XLM is very illiquid as well, and the only thing XLM will do, I think, in the end, will probably move the larger amount. But biggest number go up is not the right thing. You probably will struggle to stay in that trade more. Because when it rests, it'll come down really hard, you'll be bummed out, and then when you get out, it'll be low liquidity and spilling if you're trading in between the big HVS setup, or you just buy it at investment level, you set it, and you forget it, and you wait. And if you're in our community and you know the gold ounces and you've got the gold ounces draw, you'll know when we will be closing 50%. Okay, so that's XLM, that's XRP, and our star for the day, which is shifting gear. We'll see if it's pulled back a little bit, is XMR. One more look, and then we'll go past the ICP, as I say. Let's have a look at it, dividing it by gold, back to dividing it by gold again, and that is your trade. And a very strong Saturday, a very strong Saturday. In a month that's only 9 days in, I would say, with what's left of November, this could go and trigger still during November month. And that will be quite significant because in dollar terms, that will be already a lot. I know you still all think in dollar terms, despite what I say, value your wealth in gold and silver ounces. That doesn't mean it's always going to be the biggest outperformer. I'm just giving you 3 things that I think will outperform them. Because they have to, they're on smaller market caps, they can go up a lot more, they're going to be the rails of the future financial system, and one is going to be the privacy mechanism that all the insider cartel members will use, and many other people that are not part of the insiders but know what's going on and can see the system failing, what they will use. So, you know, that's where privacy is going to serve you really, really well. We have been XMR fans for a lengthy period while we've been doing this gold rebasement draws. We've been doing that now for probably a year and a half and talking about it. And that's what made this a beautiful, beautiful upside structured event. And that's why on a Saturday, when we were watching it and feeling something was going to drop, we had an interesting live trading day on Friday. Still kind of was quite exhausted and sitting on bed and playing on the laptop there, watching a bit of being a lazy boy and watching this thing and saying, this thing's shifting up on a weekend. Is it really going to move on a weekend? Well, it has. And who showed up so that you don't get in too late and find out too late? We did, to tell you, our YouTube friends, and help us get to a higher number. We would like to get through the 75. We would like to get through the 80K level. Share with your friends so that they can remind you when there's a good video coming out, when you're sometimes busy, and that big moves are happening on key cryptos that are likely to overperform even gold and silver and help you build wealth in reset times, which is exactly what you need if you plan on being a wealthier slave than the rest of all the other monkeys with their monkey money. Not your monkeys, not your circus. Opt out, be wealthier. avoid the polarization of being the poor classes, which is going to unfortunately be 90-95% of people that are sleeping whilst the banking cartel are setting up the biggest rug pull you've ever seen for all of the West, particularly the Americas. I'm referring United States of America, but for all of the West, it is going to be a very destabilizing time. You may as well get positioned correctly to secure yourself some freedom. ICP, let's do it before we forget. I'm going to do it in gold ounces. How about that? I bet you weren't expecting that as part of your answer. Well, you're getting it. You're going to get it because it makes good sense. So it has had a little spike, but it's been a dire. It's been a dire. It's been falling. Let's take Coinbase out as the one that has more history than Coinbase. Crypto. Help us with crypto. ICP. We're missing the I. ICP. Was Coinbase the one with the longest history? Let's try it. Binance, yeah, then neither of them do it. So in gold, it's been nothing but a downward trend, I'm afraid to say. Although recently it has looked a little more lively. Let's go and see if there's anything we can chart in dollar terms. It doesn't look that different, I have to say, just slightly less steep into the ground. So there has been something that happened in the month. I get that. There was a big rejection, but in your repo world, just a little warning from a friend. If you're an ICP fan, really want to warn you about this. Your open in the candle of the liquidations, the week that was the liquidations, that's now a couple of weeks away back when all the liquidations, it was the beginning of October, it was about 4 weeks ago. You opened at $4.50. In that period, you closed at $1.50. Well, you didn't close. You did dip as low as, let me be correct. That is a third left. In fact, it's a quarter, is it? No, it's a third. It's a third. You lost 2/3 in that shock and awe moment. It is sketchy. It has not got enough of a bid stack under it, and it got dumped very, very hard. If you do leverage trading on something like this, any ill moment, you can have stop runs. And it's not just Binance, because I'm pretty sure if we choose the Coinbase, we have an equally bad wick, very similar wick. You know, you're at 4.5 and you got down to 2 there. So one traded 1.5, the other traded 2. That's a warning. It's sketchy. It's insufficiently bid. And when people are scared, they are dumpers. So, you know, I'm not a fan of that as an attribute. That's kind of half a loop. And then you've had the flush out to the downside. We call these type 2 falling wedges, where there's a flush out to the downside and then you break up. I wouldn't chase in. I wouldn't choose it. I don't have enough history. It hasn't held up strongly enough against over numerous cycles. It's not big enough market cap. Does that mean it won't go up and be a potential success? It may even be one of the chosen status ones like HBAR and many other big names, you know, Quant and other things that are going to be doing great things for the prison, the digital prison that's being built for us. It could well be all of those things. What I need real strength, relative performance, multiple cycles, history, and showing that you have been able to make higher highs and higher lows and squeeze into a macro HVF over a long period. Would I replace any of our top 4 for this chart? No. Could it go a lot higher and just do like a dash run and, you know, you'll say, I told you so, look at that, it's gone up. Yeah, it can happen. It can happen. Is it predictable on a confidence level, on a balance of probabilities for me? No. No, it isn't, but it can do it. But it's going to be like out of the blue stuff. I like things where I have a figment of an eventuality largely going to happen that I'm watching, and when they start to happen, I jump on them and ride them. And that's what we've done with Monero today. That said, if you're in, congratulations, and thank you for your super chat. You've had a nice little surge from a low there at around $2.80, and you're at $7.70. I like to hear our followers making money, and I'd really be happy for you to make money. But my guidance to my community on a non-advisory basis is towards our tokens. Big market caps, high liquidity. One of the reasons I'm a little bit less pushy on XLM in terms of my community. XMR, privacy, key theme, biggest of the privacy tokens. So we have another super chat from Moses. Moses, thank you, 2323. Hi Francis, what is your prediction? Highest price target for Zcash, and at what date? That's a tough one for me to answer. It did have an HVF and it's already surpassed that, Moses. So I will go back to that one and draw it again for you. How do we overperformance manage? Well, I'll just do a quick sketch for you. I'm not going to go through the full detail. We do cover that in the community, but I'll give you a little clue because you asked so nicely. Let's get that on, get it on, get it on. So one of the things we do is after the target is run, we sketch what is called the trumpet pattern that goes with it. So we run across the lows. Let's do that again. That's not good. We run across the lows when it finally gets trotting, and also from the triggering event across the highs. So that's quite a steep channel actually, because this thing's done a heck of a lot, and we would close if it breaks below that line. So that would be the point of closure. If it breaks below, even if it does a return move, we would close. And if it went higher back in and broke out the top, let's just say it did that, this line going straight, and then came back down into the channel, we would close on the return into the channel. So when you break out the top, we leave it until you are collapsing back down and meeting the channel on the way down. So that's how we do overperformance. Normally we have a trumpet, so there's normally something that's broadening a little bit. This has gone up so quickly that when we take from the last funnel touch along the lows, that's quite a steep line. And when we talk about, it went sideways for quite a while here. You see it made the first interim, came down, returned to the green line, made the first interim again, and actually returned to the green line twice. You know, many people would be getting out of the trade, this HVF, it doesn't work, it's crap, look at that. It was supporting twice there, and then suddenly when it decided to go. And that's what happens. I spoke about the first two phases, that is the feign and break phase. You kind of had it here. You broke, you came back. But in this case, you both times made the first interim. You broke, you came back. That actually is a flag, by the way. Those will see it. You came back and you revisited. So that's a feign and break. That's number one. That is a return move. That's number two. A proper move above the first interim. And then this is melt up phase. That's the bit where you make your money. Or if it's an inverted capitulation phase. So you've got a real capitulation and then you've got a pullback after target. That was your first most meaningful pullback. Tell me it doesn't mean something. These targets are exceptional. By the way, your melt up phase was at that angle. Look how steep that is. You can see actually the angle has changed. It's still very steep, but not as steep. Let's draw that line again. So on Zcash, if you're in it, you've got slightly lower rate of climb. Since when? Since you ran the target on the HVF, where the rate of climb from your last touch in the funnel was like that, and that's the channel we drew. You can see there's a difference. It's already pivoted at a different rate of upside. So the value of the target and taking 50% off is incredibly valuable. You're grounded, you're winning, you've made a ton of money already. Now you can relax, let it go, and you can almost forget about it. It gives you some more. Just not at the same rate. Just not at the same rate. So we're back in the live chat. We've answered that. Thank you for your $5. We appreciate it. I'm hoping that's useful for you. Guys, thank you for joining us on Saturday. Help us with our subscriber numbers. I'd love to do more of these. It would be great if we had 300 or 400 people on a live chat when we're doing updates. It'll help other people make money. You need your family members and friends to also survive with you. You help each other. Don't try survive alone. I told the story on my Market Sniper. I'll repeat the story here. There was penny auctions in 1936. This was after the Great Depression, and farmers that had needed to borrow because of the Dust Bowl years and replant when they didn't make any revenue, were being foreclosed upon by the banker cartel that were turning good people, that were turning the soil and feeding the country and throwing their families out onto the street and had nothing to do with it. In those same penny auctions, and the reason they got called penny auctions, the community of other farmers showed up and said, stuff the bankers. They threw 2 nooses over a beam by the yard so that everybody knew they were meaning business, and one designated neighbor would bid 1 penny. And the bankers would be forced to sell the property because it was up on the block. They were not in the business of farming themselves. They needed it to be worked. They couldn't let it be burnt down and become less valuable. They were forced to sell all the plows, all the equipment, the barns and the land to the highest bidder, which was a single penny auction. And all the people that showed up were all neighbors and friends, and they returned for a single penny all those items back to the family members so that they could get their debt wiped off. They were declared bad credit, their debt wiped off, and can continue with a home, a livelihood, a work, and providing food for their friends, family members, and community. That's what you need. Don't win on your own. Share the channel. Get other subscribers, get other people. You need your friends doing okay with you. Build community, get other people winning, and making people that you live close to, that you build bonds with. This is a big, big story. Privacy is going up. It's a theme, and we've now covered Zcash as well with you to a large degree. If Monero starts doing what I think it's going to do, you could do very, very well. But you're going to need patience. Don't be over leveraged. The move makes you the money. Non-advisory. Things take longer than you sometimes want. It's the way of the world. If I could wave a wand and you could have it tomorrow, I would. It doesn't work like that. Things surge and then they rest. Then we get worried about the economy again. Then there's a contraction and a liquidity. The whole political theater has to run its course. You have to be single-minded, dogged, and show up and stay. Commit whatever capital you have, divide it all out, say that is my Monero position and I will not touch it until the gold ounces target that Francis said is met. And then I will be far better placed. I'm not going to dip in that and move it there and chase the new thing, like dogs chasing cars. And then when the car stops, you lose interest and you chase some other moving car. Don't be that momentum chasing whore. That's what it is. You're going to do yourself injury financially. I want you to build and win. There are designated, chosen ones that are going to be large and in charge in this new digital financial system that they are bringing. Go for it. Be in those. Invest mostly. Leverage trading is tough without methodology. If you want to turbocharge with a little bit of moderate leverage, with clear stop losses and targets on long-term positions, not day trading, book a call, hit the link, you know who, speak to our team on morning and learn more about what we do and how we do it. There are macro HDS that take time. Think of that XRP, how long people waited before it shot from 60 cents to $3.60, and then think how long it's gone sideways and how you need to be in. We aren't always in the whole way. It's hard to trade macro timeframes, but you can be investment in a lot easier, and you can do the trades for the major moving legs, and those can be exceedingly beneficial. That's what we aim to do, and we are getting to the interesting part. The good news is that Monero is starting to run. For the XRP guys, it might not be as far away because they will often break and run together. Alt runs often pop and fizz, and then that one starts and that one starts. It's like popcorn. They don't all simultaneously pop in the same second, but you get a time span where different things are popping and running. And you need to know which ones you're holding, and you've got to stay in them even with a leverage trade, and definitely with investment. You can't drop your bone in the river to pick up the bone that you thought you saw in the water somewhere else. That's what dumb dogs do. Stop being a dumb dog. In dogs I trust, but not in terms of trading and investing. Okay, until next time, catch you later. Thanks for checking in with us on Saturday. Monero. Privacy is the theme. Bye for now.